Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at this really fascinating stack of linguistic research and vocabulary deep dives.
Yeah, we've got some great practical communication guides today.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely upgrade your emotional toolkit.
Which is so important, honestly.
Right. So whether you are, learning the English language for the very first time and just starting out, or you've spoken it your whole life and just want to be more articulate, this is for you. We're giving you a practical toolkit for everyday interactions.
Because a lot of the time people just rely on the absolute basics, right? Like they just say, I want, or I'm angry.
Yeah, the primary colors of emotion.
Exactly. But those basic words completely fail to capture the actual, texture of human experience.
Well, by the end of this conversation, you, the listener, are going to know exactly what a pregnant woman's bizarre pizza craving has in common with an Olympic gold medal.
It is quite the juxtaposition, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense once you wrap your head around how we process the world.
Yeah. So before we can even understand happiness or conflict, we have to start with what people actually want. Desire is kind of the engine for everything else, right?
It really is. Our sources show that before you feel joy or get into an argument, you first have to want something. But wanting is just, well, it's way too broad of a term.
Right. I want doesn't really tell me much.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So to really get into the anatomy of desire, let's look at 4 specific English words. And to help our listener remember them, let's build a short, simple story.
I love that. Let's do it.
Okay, so imagine a young athlete just starting their career. Like a lot of young kids, they have this intense curiosity. They don't just want to learn. The sources say they have a thirst for knowledge.
Oh, wow. Thirst. That feels it feels really visceral, like it's not a casual interest at all.
Exactly. Thirst is a biological survival mechanism. If you don't drink water, you die. So when English takes a physical survival instinct and applies it to an abstract concept like knowledge, it really elevates the stakes. Having a thirst for knowledge means feeling very strongly that you need to understand something.
It's a very noble, almost driving force. But our athlete isn't just, a brain in a jar. They're training hard, their body's exhausted, and that brings up physical wants that are a little less noble.
Yes, and a lot more bizarre.
Which is where our pizza example finally comes in. So the athlete doesn't just want a specific food, they crave it. The source material talks about a pregnant woman who has a craving for tuna and banana pizza.
Which is just a truly challenging flavor profile.
Right, it's so weird, but it perfectly illustrates what a craving actually is. I mean, if I'm looking at a menu, I might say, oh, I want a burger. That's a rational choice.
Yeah, you're just making a decision.
But a craving is this intense, almost physical need. It's an overwhelming demand from your nervous system. You don't, actively decide to crave tuna and banana pizza.
No, the feeling just kind of hijacks you.
Exactly. You crave a burger, but you wouldn't necessarily covet a burger, right? Coveting feels heavier.
Hold on, we'll get to covet in a second. Let's not jump ahead of our story. So our athlete thirsts for knowledge, and they crave success with that same bodily urgency. But as they train over the years, a new emotion pops up.
Okay, what's that?
Well, they sacrifice a lot of their personal life, right? So sometimes they yearn to just be on their own, far away from all those heavy family responsibilities.
Yearn. That has such a heavy, kind of melancholic sound to it.
It really does. Yearning is wanting something you don't have, and very often it's something you know you can never have. It requires emotional weight.
Yeah, it's like desire tinged with grief. The sources mentioned a cousin who yearns to be on her own with no family responsibilities.
Because once you have a family, you can't just press an undo button. The desire for absolute freedom becomes a yearning because it's essentially an impossible hope.
Makes total sense. The athlete might yearn for a normal childhood, but they've already spent it all in the gym.
Which brings us to the climax of the story. Why endure all this? Why the solitary yearning and the intense cravings? Because they want to win an Olympic gold medal.
Ah, the gold medal.
Yes, and an Olympic gold medal is the most coveted sporting prize in the world. Covet means wanting to possess something very much.
And this is where my burger analogy comes back, right? Because if a craving is internal, coveting feels entirely external.
Yes, precisely.
Like, I might crave a burger, but I wouldn't covet it. Coveting is more like, I'm eyeing my neighbor's sports car.
That is a perfect analogy. You covet something because it's highly valuable, or explicitly because it belongs to someone else. It's fueled by comparison.
Right, you don't just want the medal. You want the prestige of taking it from everyone else.
Exactly. So to recap for our listener, we have a thirst for knowledge, intense cravings for success, a melancholic yearning for a normal life, and the pursuit of a coveted prize.
That paints such a three-dimensional picture. Way better than just repeating the word want over and over.
Absolutely.
But, desires inevitably clash. People don't always get what they covet. And when desires are thwarted, tensions rise. This takes us into, the interpersonal minefield.
Yes, the language of reacting to others.
How do we use English to describe managing other people's negative emotions? Because that's a huge part of everyday life.
It really is. And the sources outline some distinct strategies. Let's look at two words that are often confused: diffuse and placate.
Okay.
The text gives an example of someone diffusing the tension by simply changing the subject. Diffusing means making a tense or dangerous situation calmer.
So is diffusing like cutting the wire on a ticking bomb,
Yeah.
while placating is more like handing a crying baby a pacifier?
Oh, wow. I love that. Yes, that's exactly it. Diffusing is about managing the environment. You change the subject, you crack a joke.
You cut the wire.
Right. Placating, on the other hand, is entirely focused on the individual person. It specifically means taking action to stop someone from feeling angry.
Like the pacifier?
Yeah. The source gives an example of a daughter taking a long time to placate her angry father. She couldn't just change the subject. She had to soothe him directly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And actually, there's a fascinating little linguistic quirk attached to this word for anyone learning the language.
Oh, I love the weird rules of English. Tell me.
So we have the word implacable. Right. We use it for feelings that absolutely cannot be changed, like an implacable hatred.
Like a brick wall of anger.
Exactly. But interestingly, the positive version, the word placable, actually does not exist in modern English.
Wait, really? We kept the negative, but totally lost the positive.
Yeah. We need a warning label for someone who can't be calmed down. But an easygoing person isn't a threat, so we just stop using a word for them.
That is hilariously dark. Okay, so diffusing and placating are great for personal relationships, but what about higher-level conflicts, like at work?
For formal usage, the sources give us two great words: conciliate and appease.
Conciliate sounds a bit like mediating.
It is, but it's more active. To conciliate is to act in a friendly way to end a disagreement, like an independent advisor brought in between unions and employers.
So they actively try to build a bridge and find a mutual compromise?
Yes. Now contrast that with appease. Appease is also about ending a disagreement, but it's usually used in a very disapproving way.
How so?
To appease someone is to give the other side the advantage they demand, just to keep them quiet.
Ah, like giving the school bully your lunch money so they stop hitting you.
Exactly. The source notes that appeasing an enemy might postpone a war for a year, but ultimately it won't prevent it. It implies weakness.
Okay, to make this really concrete for our listeners' daily interactions, let's do a quick, playful 15-second role play.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to be your incredibly frustrated coworker. Our project was just delayed, and I am furious. Let's see how you handle it.
I'll do my best.
I cannot believe this. We've been working on this for 3 months, and they just delayed it. This is unacceptable. I demand we call the client right now and charge them double.
Wow, that is really frustrating. Hey, did you try that new espresso machine in the break room yet?
I do not care about the espresso machine. I want to call the client and yell at them.
I hear you, and honestly, I understand why you were angry. You've worked so hard. Give me 20 minutes to look at the contract, and let me figure out how to fix this timeline for us.
And scene. Let's pause there. That was textbook.
Thank you, I tried.
So let's break down what just happened for the listener. You started by trying to diffuse the tension.
Yeah, I tried to change the subject to the espresso machine. I tried to cut the wire on the bomb.
But the explosion was already happening, so diffusing failed.
Right, so then I had to pivot to placating you. I said, I understand why you're angry. Let me fix it.
You validated my emotion. But the really important thing is what you didn't do. You did not completely appease my unreasonable demand.
Exactly. I didn't say, you're right, let's call and charge them double.
Yeah.
I offered a professional, conciliatory solution instead.
It's a masterclass in de-escalation. You survived the conflict without giving away your lunch money.
It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Okay, so we've survived the conflict. Let's go back to our athlete from the first story. They finally won their coveted gold medal. Let's talk about the language of extreme happiness.
Yes, the spectrum of joy. And in English, we kind of divide this into formal and informal vocabulary.
Let's start with the formal stuff. If the athlete wins, they aren't just happy.
No, the sources say they are in an exultant mood. That's exultant. It means great pleasure, specifically because of a success or victory.
So it's a step above just being ecstatic.
Exactly. Ecstatic is great, like Sarah being ecstatic after her great exam results. But exultant is truly triumphant.
What about the crowd watching the athlete? Are they exultant too?
For a crowd, you'd use jubilant. Jubilant means expressing great happiness, especially at a victory. Like the sources mention jubilant shouts when referendum results are announced.
It's a very public, loud happiness. And then there's rejoice. Right.
Yeah, to rejoice is to be extremely happy about something, like rejoicing at the news of a recovery.
But if we step away from the stadium, what about bliss? I love that word.
Bliss is perfect happiness. But for the language learner, the vital thing here is the collocations.
Collocations being the words that naturally pair together.
Right.
Oh.
You don't usually just say bliss on its own.
Mm-hmm.
You say utter bliss or sheer bliss, like having a fabulous 7-day island holiday with no phone.
That is sheer bliss.
And you can also be blissfully happy, even if you're poor. Or, ironically, you can be blissfully ignorant.
Blissfully unaware, which means you're happy just because you don't know the bad news yet.
Exactly. But let's look at casual conversation. Because if you're out with your friends, you wouldn't say, I am exultant today.
No, my friends would look at me like I was an alien. In informal situations, we use idioms, right?
Yes, everyday idioms. And the sources give us a fantastic list.
Let's volley them back and forth for the listener.
Okay, you start.
Well, if someone is smiling all the time and just glowing, you say they are full of the joys of spring.
I like that one. Or if you hear some great news, like your daughter just had a baby girl, you say you are thrilled to bits.
Thrilled to bits, like you're so happy you're exploding into tiny pieces.
Yeah. What if you finally get a job again after a long time looking?
Then you are feeling on top of the world.
Nice. And if you get into a prestigious drama school?
You're floating or walking on air.
Notice a pattern there.
Yeah, being on top of the world, walking on air, floating.
Why are so many English idioms about happiness tied to defying gravity?
It perfectly captures the physical sensation of relief. When you're happy, the heavy burden just vanishes. You feel weightless.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Which leads to the last one. You score the winning goal in a soccer match with your friends?
You are over the moon.
Over the moon. It takes that weightlessness all the way into orbit.
It really does. So let's summarize the journey we've been on today.
Yeah, let's recap for the listener, because we've covered a lot of ground. You now have the tools to express deep, visceral cravings and biological thirsts. You're not saying, I want anymore.
And you have the interpersonal skills to diffuse a ticking bomb of a situation and to placate a frustrated friend.
Without just weakly appeasing them.
Exactly. And finally, you know the exact idioms to show you are over the moon rather than just, textbook happy.
Because ultimately, language is all about connection. Using the right word changes the way we interact with the world. Knowing whether a friend needs to be conciliated or if they're just blissfully ignorant completely alters the dynamic.
It gives you so much more empathy. And that brings me to a final kind of provocative thought I want to leave you with today.
Oh, lay it on me.
We have so many distinct, colorful phrases for happiness like floating on air or being thrilled to bits. So the next time you feel a really strong emotion, I want you to ask yourself, is the English language shaping the way you actually feel that emotion? Or is the emotion shaping the words you choose?
Wow. Does the feeling exist if you don't have the specific word for it? That is a deep puzzle.
Something to mull over, right? Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these new words out into the real world and start upgrading your everyday conversations.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.